This is Tom Tolles, and you're listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. Eat me.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Hellbent Harley.
Hellbent for leather. That's right.
Yes, you are.
Hellbent for leather. Yeah.
Yes.
I can't do Rob Halford justice, Tim, but that was my little impersonation.
Oh, there you go. So on that note, let's welcome in the deep thinkers. Oh,
yeah.
There we go. So... Mr. Ben Harley,
yes, sir.
Nothing going on in the world right now? Look, let's just...
No, not at all.
All right,
no.
Look, let's just get this out. We don't comment on things or nothing like that. Let's just get this out of the way right now.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of media reporting going on right now and a lot of narrative being set and stuff like that. So I just want to... look, I'm sorry. There's just some things I believe and I don't believe. I've been seeing many, many reports that Sir Sean Connery has passed away, and Sean Connery does not die. He doesn't die.
You can't kill Sean Connery.
He oversleeps. So that's
Sean
it.
Connery?
No. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. So let's see. Moving on. Mr. Ben Harley, I tell you what, we had a good time doing some Jack the Ripper stuff, didn't we? For the University of Michigan students.
Yes.
And your pal, Dr. Jamie Raitt.
Dr. Raitt. Yes.
So lots of...
Yeah, we were homework, Tim. For a little while.
We were homework. Yeah. It was all grand. It was all fine until I pulled the veil off of, not unlike the Sean Connery hoax. Yeah. It has to be a hoax, Mr. Ben Harley. It has to be a hoax. It can't be real. So after we lifted the veil of that hoax, then we realized that we were pawns in a dirty game. Played by the Professor Raitt on his unwitting students at the University of Michigan, discussing Jack the Ripper. So even though we were button hooked, we were bamboozled, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it all the way. So.
Oh, we did. Actually, it was quite fun,
Right.
And actually, all three movies were interesting, especially, like going from the Jack the Ripper to Time After Time, which... You kind of have to go with Time After Time. You kind of just got to, suspend disbelief and go with it.
Right.
And then back to The Lodger, which was also, really good contrast of film,
Right.
Not historically accurate. But
No, we didn't have any. We didn't have any history going on. There was the history of the Hollywood. It's these places in Hollywood history were more interesting than the actual. Connections to real history with the Jack the Ripper murders. But you know what, Ben Harley? I tell you what, when you're being used as a pawn in a conspiracy against students, what better way to go about it than just say, wee?
Wee.
That's what you're doing. So.
Jump in feet first. So.
Right. I'm telling you too, oversleeping. Connery doesn't die. Not on this show. Not on this show. I'm calling them out.
He's
everybody.
a Highlander for crying out loud.
Yeah, when they're all when the media is all saying the same thing, we got problems. We got problems.
Yeah,
so I'm telling you right now, it's nope. No, sir, not going to have it. And in all fairness,
not on our watch.
Yeah, right. In all seriousness, though, ouch, yikes. Yeah, I didn't like to. Yeah. We like Sean Connery here on this show, so
yes, we did. Very much so.
Yeah. So I know we're a little late on this, but we are in this space-time continuum.
Yeah,
recording this a couple weeks before you hear it. Or a week, I guess, before you hear it. So anyway, condolences to his friends and family, and oof, boy, I tell you, I think he's a good one. He's a good.
There's very few. People who can command a movie or a screen or a camera like that guy.
Right.
And carry a movie. Just carry it, and you want to see him. It's just like, and I like too the fact that Sean Connery got kind of like a second act too. Mm-hmm. As he got older, he just got better and better. People are like, oh my God, so many good movies to his credit.
Right.
So
and there's also only a couple couple people that I can impersonate 7 words of, and he's one of them. So I don't know what the hell to do now. It's going to be in bad taste no matter what I do. So, well, let's get to some stuff we watched here, Mr. Ben Harley. So let's see here. I've got a lot of documentaries that I'm going to go through. So I'm going to kind of run those through together. But a couple movies I wanted to mention first. I did watch from 1973. What else is from 1973?
Tim O'Sullivan.
That's right. I'm from 1973. Now, ironically, Mr. Ben Harley, I had a little bit of fun because me and Angie were watching this. Since I am from 1973, I was kind of creeping out Angie because we were watching It's Alive.
Oh, wow.
I said, hey, I was the It's Alive baby. You didn't know that.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Back in 73, so...
oh, my goodness.
Yes, it's been a while, Mr. Ben Harley, but I like to report to you back. Ben Harley, listen, hold on, listen to me. Yeah. It's still just a damn ugly baby. That is one ugly baby.
It is Black Sabbath Born Again cover.
Don't insult that pretty baby.
Yeah, it's an ugly child. Man.
Oh God, it's a bad baby. What a bad
Tim,
baby.
I like that movie. No,
it is fun. Yeah,
it's fun. It's a fun. The first 2 are real fun. I like the first 2 quite a bit. Well, we've had fun with all of them, though.
The third one gets a little bit like you have to really
suspend disbelief.
You have to have a very thorough trip to your dispensary before you watch the third one. You can't just throw that one against the wall. It's a little tough.
That's the island one, right? Where
Island of the Alive. Yeah. I mean, when you get Michael Moriarty in a movie, you're dancing on eggshells to begin with.
Yeah, so you're already.
Yeah. Directed by Larry Cohen. Met him through Dominic Mancini, agent extraordinaire a couple times. Nice guy. And this movie, too, was my introduction to the one and only John P. Ryan.
Oh, man.
The dad in the movie? Yeah. He is an eccentric fella.
Yes, he is. He's off his rocker in this movie too, man. I cannot blame the guy. I cannot blame him whatsoever.
Right. All right, let's get to some documentaries. First up on Amazon Prime. Now again, Amazon Prime sometimes like they have the year. And I think that whoever uploads these movies sometimes mistakes like what year it is currently and what year the film was made because it claimed this was 2017.
Yeah, no.
I don't think they were 30 years close, like in the right ballpark. They weren't even in the same universe. But the movie is Lugosi, the Forgotten King of Horror.
Really? All right.
So it's not too bad. It is a little older. It says 2017. It's not. I mean, mid 80s tops.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's not breaking any ground, but it's a refresher course. How about that on Lugosi? Lugosi, I have a love-hate. Not love-hate. That's a little strong. I'm just not a huge... I tried Dracula. There's things about Dracula I like a whole lot. I'm just... Lugosi to me is Igor. That is the movie to me that says, I like that guy. And that's when he's Igor in the Frankenstein films and stuff. So, but not too bad.
I wish he does a great job.
He does. He's great in it. I mean, people always talk about Dracula. I'm like, look at Igor. Igor is the body snatcher too, when he plays like this shriveled up guy and stuff. I mean, he could do it. I just don't recognize the popular performances that other people do by Lugosi. Maybe that's really what it is more than anything. Let's see. Moving on, Mr. Ben Harley. Also watched on Amazon Prime. Let's get some animal stuff. We got a lot of this week we've been doing a lot of Jack the Ripper stuff. It's time to go like crazy animals.
We've done humans run amok now. We're going to go some animal.
Right. So let's start here. So there's a documentary again on Amazon Prime from 2020. We have The Hound of Hannibal.
Ooh,
yes.
Okay.
All right. I think I might have sent you
Hannibal, Missouri?
Yes. I think I might have sent you this too. This is pretty close to me, actually. Yeah. Hannibal, Missouri is just a couple hours north of me, I guess. When she goes and visits her grandma, she has to drive up through Hannibal to get to Kirksville. Okay. Around wherever where she lives or whatever. But yeah, this is the home of Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens.
Yeah.
So when you
Hannibal
when you read Tom Sawyer and you read Huckleberry Finn, it is Hannibal, Missouri.
Yeah.
Basically. So this is a documentary about dogman sightings.
Okay. All right.
In Hannibal. And you know me and Dogman, we got an uneasy relationship here. We enjoy talking the Bigfoot stuff. We enjoy that. But the Dogman thing starts getting me a little like, and I keep saying, is there room in this world for a Bigfoot and a dogman? And we don't, and it's not like confirmed. That's a lot of big beasts running around, like different ones. Different.
Yes.
I'll buy a chupacabra could live and a Bigfoot because they're clearly different animals. I mean, we're talking about an all fours thing, and then we're talking about a giant monkey man or whatever.
Yeah.
Dogman, he's kind of bothered me. Look, the problem I have is that the documentary is not horrible. It's okay. It's these two people who are normally, by their own admission, are paranormal investigators. Ghosts, mostly ghosts, of course. They got interested in this Dogman thing, so they went to do a little investigation. They shot some stuff up there and Hannibal. And look, I got to tell you, for me, the Juggalo guy isn't going to float as the only knowledgeable person on this subject. It's one of those documentaries.
Yeah. Okay.
At first I'm sitting there, I was like, oh, did they get Kevin Strange to be an actual? Oh, no, it's not Kevin Strange. No. I'd actually listen if it was Kevin Strange. I don't know about this guy. So they have a Juggalo smoking a cigar, sitting there who. No, he's only being shot it's like a headshot thing. But from what
he's an eyewitness, though. He is.
No, he's an expert.
Oh, an expert.
Ooh, the eyewitnesses were okay because I think they actually had the conservation officer, which it's the game warden. We call them conservation officers, not other game wardens. So they did talk to some people kind of in the know, and there was a couple of spooky stories. One guy claimed he was pulled out of a tree stand deer hunting by one, and he's paralyzed.
Really?
And his friend, the team found out about this guy because the conservation officer is his friend, and he was the one who was at the scene first when he fell out of the tree stand. But he swears he was pulled out and shot at it and everything, and these are hunters. These are Missouri hunters. Folks, I love your Ohio, Mr. Ben Harley, but you ain't seen a hunter until you've been to Missouri. That's all I'm going to say. So... it's okay. It isn't interesting, but it's kind of amateur and it is kind of thin on things. It's a little amateur thin. So you get just a couple people talking a couple stories, but Dogman isn't something I've seen 100 million documentaries about. No.
I've seen a few things, and I mean, some of it, some of the eyewitness accounts are very compelling. Yeah. And I know if I saw something like that, it'd freak me out. I mean, absolutely freak me out, But, I don't know. I'm not so sure. But then again, I'm also a guy who believes in a giant monkey. So.
Not King Kong you're talking about. About Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's about Sasquatch. Yeah. So, but that's okay. I do. And right. But, Tim, some of those documentaries, it's hard to get behind some of those things. And the Dogman, I have seen a couple interesting things, but just, I don't know, buddy. I really don't.
Well, look, I'm open to listening to them, obviously, because I watched the documentary. So I'm open. And to me, it's the same thing with Bigfoot. I think that we've gone through this 100 times, that I wouldn't call myself a believer as much as I'm open to it. I'm listening. I haven't seen it. It has been proven to me. But boy, there's been some evidence, that I think that is compelling enough to say, whoa, these people aren't crazy. They might be wrong. I mean, but no, some of this evidence, and again, I said the people we've talked to, have been kind of compelling as well, personally, that we've talked to.
Oh, definitely.
Now we've also talked to some of these people you see on the TV, on some of the Bigfoot shows and stuff. That I find less compelling meeting them in person. Others I find more. I mean, so it's kind of the opposite usually what you would think too. So it was interesting. Again, I'm gonna have to reserve judgment on there being a Dogman and a Bigfoot on the planet. Yeah, I feel it might be the same thing. Yeah, more than anything else. I don't know. Hey, well, here's another one then. Okay, so this is actually the last documentary I got to talk about anyway. I didn't even watch all of this, okay? So this is called The Bigfoot, a documentary by Casual Preppers. Okay. Casual Preppers. Now you're going to sit down for this. Now, you are sitting, right? You're not dancing or nothing. Okay, so... No. So I started watching this thinking, well, this ought to be interesting because this sounds familiar. It's these two guys who have a podcast.
Okay.
And their podcast is basically about, they call themselves, apocalypse of preppers or prepper. They're disaster preppers or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they're getting ready. They're canning their beans and stuff, getting ready for the apocalypse. They're living
off the grid and stuff like that.
But they're a little easy going about. See if you know anybody like this. They're a little easy going about their subject. They're not like, they're not like real stern about it. They want to have fun with it, and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And they've been talking about Bigfoot on their show and some paranormal stuff. They like to delve into that sometimes. See, now again, see if this sounds like anybody to you. So two guys that do a podcast together that have a certain thing, and they like to sometimes float in and out of paranormal activity stuff, and they talk about Bigfoot sometimes. So keep following me here. See if it sounds like anybody. They decided, since they've been talking about it on their show, that they're going to go out and find it themselves. See if you're following me on this. So they decide that one of the two guys, his grandpa apparently has some stories about that old crusty fella. So they drive in a Toyota, which I'm pretty sure is a RAV4. And you see them driving down some back roads that look a lot like...
Wait a second.
Yes, so they're driving down some back roads. Then they pull into a rocked driveway up to like a pole barn type garage. And they get out and they encounter an old man.
Wait a second.
And then the old man is the one guy's grandpa, of course. So this is a little different. And they start talking to him, and he starts telling them stories about the Bigfoot and kind of warning him about that. And the one guy is talking about, well, how do they go hunt for Bigfoot and stuff? And the one guy starts making a joke how they have to beat the hell out of trees.
Wow.
I quit watching it after that. I'm not done watching it.
Very, very familiar.
Yeah, I was like, it was almost, besides the one guy being the grandpa and the production values being much higher. Yeah. And I was like, I'm watching this going, at first thinking, well, this is maybe kind of real, and thinking this is staged, to the point where I was like, I know exactly what they're doing here. This is exactly what we did. Am I saying they saw our movie? No, but it is chilling how similar the whole thing. You know what it reminds me of? A remake.
Yeah.
A reimagining, a reboot. And it's closer to our film Stalking Bigfoot. It's almost just like it, and we did that 10 years ago.
Yes.
Or maybe 8 years ago.
Yeah. It's close enough to 10. Yeah.
It's called The Bigfoot, a documentary by Casual Preppers.
Wow.
From 2019. And then what bothers me about it, though, is that either they're acting, which okay, so take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt, how I'm saying it. Either they're acting or they don't even know who Peter Byrne is. Because they're like looking at research going, how do we find Bigfoot? What do we do? I'm like, really? You're making a documentary about Bigfoot? You don't. That was the big difference. Like, they claimed ignorance on everything. I'm like, I'm sorry. But you're not going to go into a motion picture, a film, and not know anything about what your subject. And you certainly aren't going to bother doing this if you've never heard of Peter Byrne. Let's see. Grover Cranston? Grover Cranston? Okay, come on, man. Jeff Meldrum? Jeff Meldrum. Yes, whatever.
Who is he?
Yeah. I don't know if it bothered me or fascinated me by the fact that I'm like, it was hard for me to sit there and go, this looks like a remake, man.
Yeah.
So the Bigfoot, a documentary by Casual Preppers, it is the reimagining of Stalking Bigfoot.
Stalking Bigfoot, huh?
Now, I haven't gotten through the rest of it. I've only watched up to the part where they go and talk to their grandpa, and their grandpa's advising them and things. I'm like, God, this is like Ned Spudler all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway,
it sounds too eerily.
It is. It's yeah. So I want to get your eyepieces on it, and I want you to see if you think now. Animals are running amok this week.
They are running amok.
And like you said, we've had rippers running amok, humans running amok. Now we have animals running amok. Pretty intense show. Now I watched this stuff about the Bigfoot, about dogman stuff, and you You could tell both of us needed some monsters and animals and crap like
that
that.
was
After had a lot of knife wielding maniacs. We got to mix it up a little bit. So you also dove into a documentary, a true documentary that actually before the show we talked about for a minute that I'd even heard of. About a killer crocodile that was basically the real life Jaws. I mean, this thing was a monster.
Yeah.
Now, what was a documentary and where'd you see it at?
Tim, it was on like the History Channel, and it was just like a killer crocodile, the man-eater thing. And I apologize because it was like 2 hours long, and I'd seen something about that, but I'm like, I don't know. And so I did tune in, and so I watched about 3/4 of it.
Okay.
And what had happened is this: a crocodile had attacked a fisherman and like a 12-year-old girl, and so they were.
Now, where was this though? This was not in the United States, though, right? This was like India. Wasn't it India or something like that? Okay.
Yeah, and so that they're basically the gist of the whole documentary is them trying to find this, and it's funny because
they hunted it down like in Jaws, right? Yes.
Yeah, and they kept saying stuff like, this is a monster that, wreaked havoc, kind of like the ones imagined in like Lake Placid. And there was a couple other, crocodile movies they mentioned. And I kept saying that, bull crap. I did. I was like, no way. That thing in Lake Placid was humongous. There's no way, Well, Tim, to my surprise.
Whoopsie.
When they did finally catch this monster, it was huge. Now, it might not have been quite as big as the one in Lake Placid, but Tim, it was big enough to oh man!
Look, if it's big enough to swallow my ass, it doesn't need to be supernatural. It's cool. I'm scared enough, right?
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
A big crocodile, a small crocodile scares a hell.
Oh yeah. But this thing was a monster. It ended up being like 20.3 feet long. So it was at that time, and probably still was the largest crocodile in captivity, once they caught it. But so let's say, Tim, I'm watching the 3/4 of this documentary. Well, the last probably half hour, 45 minutes of the documentary is them trying to transport this thing to captivity. They build a pen for it. But boy, Tim, I'm going to there's some tense moments with, they get the thing, they hog tie it and stuff. And I mean, this thing is a monster. I mean, a monster. It really was. Every time I kept seeing it, I was kicking myself thinking, well, you didn't believe that. But it was. I mean, absolute terror.
Was
Was
this Gustav?
Yeah.
Was that the name of the crocodile?
Yeah, it was. This one was kind of they actually named this one. It was called like Lalo. And it was named after like their most famous like hunter in the country. And this poor guy, he was searching so hard to find this thing that he wasn't sleeping, ended up dying of a heart attack because he exhausted himself trying to find this thing. And these guys, I'm telling you, they go out in these little boats that are like, they might be 15 feet long, but they're only like 2 feet wide. And they only come out of the water about 6 inches. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to go look for a crocodile in that thing anyhow. It's like floating on a dock, you know what I mean? Or a surfboard. I'm going to go out with my surfboard and look for this 20-foot crocodile. Like, no, man. And I give these guys a lot of credit. Like, they're jumping off the boat into the lily pads and trying to dig through just to get the boat through. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this poor guy's going to come up missing all sorts of limbs.
Lolong,
yep, that's it.
Lolong, yeah, we're talking about two different crocodiles here, buddy. Your crocodile here. I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm looking it up
no,
as you're talking about it because it's like we're not talking about the same. We're talking about two different, and it was named after Ernesto Lolong Galoran Cañante, as a veteran crocodile hunter.
Yeah. Who basically killed him, died trying to capture this thing. He did. He ended up having his blood pressure just went through the roof, and he had a heart attack.
Gotcha. So this is the Philippines. So he was
Philippines.
So he was after Blood Island too.
Yeah.
He was after John Ashley then on Blood Island too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So that was the largest. It was the largest. It was 20 feet 3 inches. You're right.
Yeah.
Largest. Yeah. Making him one of the largest crocodiles ever measured.
Yeah. Never measured.
I believe it was the largest in captivity. Now
Yes,
the crocodile I was talking about is called a large male Nile crocodile.
Okay.
And it was named Gustav, and I think they still think they see it. Let's see here. There was a PBS show about it that was going on too. This I think is in Africa.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So, but anyway, yeah. So this is...
Yeah, Tim, I'll tell you, it's funny because when they took that thing, they put it like on this cart, and they rolled over.
Like Gorgo?
Yeah, basically. They put them it's like this, it's like this farmer's cart, which is like, it's pretty, it's pretty low budget, okay?
Right.
So they put the thing on there, and then what they have to do, they have to like transport it across a river and then into its pen, this
right. So they had to have like basically a flatbed and have like tied down, basically like Gorgo, like they did Gorgo when they took Gorgo through London.
But this wasn't even a flatbed; it was like a trailer, right? So they strapped onto this thing, and so right before they take it over, they're going to take it over the lake, take it over the river to its pen. Mm-hmm. The thing it goes berserker, man, and it starts thrashing around and absolutely destroys this cart that it's on, or trailer, which is only like a 2-wheel trailer, and it just was, and people are running for their lives or running up in trees, trying to get away. Well, they do get them back under control again, and then they strap like giant like tree trunk or logs on each side of them, and then they just like lower them in the water and push them across the lake, or not the lake, but the river, and then pull them up on the other side. And I kept thinking to myself, this poor thing, man. It took 24 hours for them to finally get it to where he needed to go. They pumped his stomach looking for human remains. They said they put him on that cart. They threw him over the river. It's just like, with that thing, I'm going to tell you, Tim, when they tried to pump its stomach and it got pissed off, wow, I was like, this is frightening. Watching that thing at times, I'm like, almost didn't look real. It was so like, it was just like, because all you can see is like his head at one point when they're trying to pump its stomach, and it's just thrashing about and water spewing out of it. It was frightening. I'm like, this thing, you guys are going to, I want to see it come loose and just start attacking you fucking people, but they actually, once they put it in like captivity and then measured it and stuff like that. It was, like I said, it was breathtaking. I've never seen something, and I was like, there's no way it could be that big. And yes, it was. It was monsters. And then they're thinking, well, this might not even be the one that did the killing. Are you kidding me? So you guys think there's another one bigger than this one?
There's one. There might be more. It's actually the taxidermied skin of Lolong is at the Philippine National Museum, and also they preserved its skeleton, and it's there too.
Oh, okay.
Did we review Primeval, the crocodile movie?
I think we did, buddy.
Okay, that was about Gustav. That one was. That had Dominique Purcell in it, and Orlando Jones, Jurgen Prochnow in it, and stuff. That was because they sound almost exactly the same. The stories do.
Yeah.
But if you have a giant killer crocodile attacking your villages, it's probably going to be about the same unfortunate story, I guess. But it's because everything you're saying sounds almost exactly what I knew of the Gustav. Crocodile too. There's some big crocodiles.
Man, you could have probably put about 15 people on its back and rode it around.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the animals run amok, let's get to our official film, Mr. Ben Hive, this week, which is more
about an animal.
Yes, more true stories. A true story about animals run amok here. So what we have is the 1996 big budget movie. We don't do a lot of these movies, but big movie, The Ghost and the Darkness.
Yes.
All right. So let me get out movie guy here and give you a short storyline synopsis here for The Ghost and the Darkness. All right. Here we go. Yeah. A bridge engineer and an experienced old hunter begin a hunt for 2 lions after they start attacking local construction workers. That just gives me this like mental image of like these guys in hard hats and sweaty wife beater t-shirts and
wearing safety yellow
whistling
shirts.
at the women walking by and stuff. Okay, so what we have here is the true story of a bridge that was being built in Africa. by colonial Britain.
There's a little colonialism in this.
Yeah,
right?
there is. There's a lot of that. Yeah, and while they're trying to get this thing built, they sent a new engineer to get it going, played by Val Kilmer, and because he's got a good reputation for getting things done. And next thing you know, lions start attacking the workers, and the workers are not going to have much more of it. They're like, yeah, we're all getting picked off by lions here, so maybe we're going to stop working on your bridge. So that's the crux of the film. Again, this is a true story about the man-eaters of Tsavo. Give us a little bit here, Mr. Benhar. I talk about this because I know you like to kind of get in there and talk a little bit about plots and stuff, but that's basically where it starts, where Val Kilmer is like a newlywed guy. He has a child on the way, I believe, or a newborn, and he gets sent over to Africa to do this giant job, basically and he has to win the
5
respect.
months.
Yes, and he has to win the respect of everyone, and unfortunately, the best way he can do that is to kill lions, which I hope I'm never put in that position, Mr. Ben Harley. I might not come through on the other end.
Right, exactly.
At least not. I might come through the other end of a lion, but I won't be coming through the story very well. Yeah.
Right. Well, you feel bad for Val Kilmer because he goes in, and it's kind of like the movie starts at him going in to interview for the position. And the gentleman who's his boss, or the guy who's hiring him, is not a very friendly fella.
Tom Wilkinson,
tells you right off the bat.
Great actor, Tom Wilkinson.
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah.
And he tells him right off the bat, really, you're going to do this for me, or I will ruin you.
Right.
And he's like, well, no, I really, and Val Kilmer's like, no, I really want to do this because my wife's, pregnant, and then I need to be back in so many months, and I promised her I would be. And he's like, I don't care. Mm-hmm. I don't care about your upcoming, you don't care.
Right.
Get out there and get it done. So basically, right off the bat, you're kind of like, whoa, oh, man, he's really up against it, and if he doesn't do this gentleman's going to ruin the rest of his life, and that's a lot to. There's
zero sympathy for his life situation right now. You're right. The Tom Wilkinson character, Robert Beaumont, I believe his name is.
Yes.
In the movie, tells him in no uncertain terms, I don't care if you got babies coming out of your ears. I don't give a crap. All I care about is my money and my bridge and getting this thing done. And Kilmer right away is like, okie dokie. You can tell he's a little like, okay.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Right?
And then I was funny too, he kind of says, any more words of encouragement before?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he kind of gives him a little shot across the bow back. And you can tell Tom Wilkinson appreciates that. He kind of appreciates him standing. I think he knows he has the right guy. I miss those little nuances in movies sometimes. Like
I do too.
Now it's like the guy's a jerk, and it's like you're being a jerk to me. Now he stands up to him, and I think that is what people are looking for sometimes, to be stood up to a little bit. It's like, all right, I got a tough guy. That's what I need. I need a tough guy to do. I mean, I'm building a bridge across a river in Africa.
In Africa, yes.
And I'm a colonialist, and I got to get these guys to do this. I need to have somebody. I need to have a tough guy doing this. Right, exactly.
And I tell you, Tim, like the first half of this movie, to me, is just wonderful how it builds up, and then he goes there, and I like the characters too because Val Kilmer's character he loves Africa, and he's always wanted to go to Africa, and it's one of his biggest dreams is to go there. So he already knows a lot about the animals. He knows a lot about everything, which is good,
he's
and you kind of
educated about them, not experienced with them, but he's educated with them.
Educated on them, and you feel for him. You're like, this is good, this is great, and this is something,
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, Tim. He's up against it big time because not only is he up against a time crunch and lions and other things, he doesn't know quite yet about the lions, but yet he has the workers. The workers don't like each other. These people won't work with these people. You know what I mean? And so he has to kind of, to deal with that.
Right.
Too,
there's like the Muslims, and then there's the Arab tribal people. They don't trust each other. They don't like each other. Val Kilmer has to come. And really, his experience in this kind of area is he did work in India. So it wasn't like he had never been to a foreign country, but in Africa, this is first, and he had done some hunting and done some stuff there. So he was a little experienced, but he comes in a situation, where you have different factions At each other's throats. Plus, let's not forget. Then you have the British guys, the guy that runs the hospital, the doctor guy that runs the hospital. He's like world weary. That's for sure.
He doesn't like anybody, man. You know what I mean? And like so, he has all these different personalities to deal with.
Right.
Plus, he's away. He's away from home.
Good setup. It's a good setup.
Yes.
For a movie. Yeah.
Great
really
setup.
Well done.
Yeah. And he does come through there at the beginning because he does shoot a lion because there's some lions they are worried about. And he does. He goes out there and shoots them. And then it also puts him in a better light with everybody else. He's not just coming in here pencil pusher.
Someone gets attacked. Someone gets attacked, not eaten or anything like that, but they get injured, awful injury on the leg, I think, or whatever. So it's almost like the first thing. Yes, you're right. He does that starts helping him get these things going. He goes out there and he shoots that lion that attacked the worker guy. So he is the great white hunter. And everybody's like, they're going to go to bat for him. And so everyone kind of starts gelling. The problem is as they're gelling, there's a couple lions that make that first lion look like, a cartoon character.
Yes.
And they're not happy. And what's very cool about this, I just want to point this out. I saw a lot of Jaws in this movie that I've never noticed before. Now, anytime we have a movie with animals run amok, whether it be ants or whether it be lions, crocodiles, alligators, we always see Jaws because they are all born from Jaws, basically. Especially the modern films. So what you have here is that tall grass, that African grass, and instead of seeing a shark fin, you can just see the very top of a lion stalking through that tall grass. And everything went through my head seeing that from, this is how lions evolved to be just that tall. So that they didn't peek over the grass. I mean, it was like, oh boy, man. And you had to really look to see them because they camouflage themselves.
And it's cool too because the wind would be blowing the grass, and so you really couldn't tell something's moving right there because the grass was all kind of moving. You know what I mean? It was it kind of was like water lake. I'll give you that, Tim. Yeah,
right. I think they should have hung on that a little bit more. I think they should have been more. I thought Jaws was brilliant. Well, I guess the shark didn't work, but Jaws was brilliant using that fin.
Right.
I mean, that fin, it really worked. And so the you're right. And the grass would blow. And so you would watch for something going against the wind. And every now and then you saw just a little touch of something, and it was creepy. It was broad daylight. And they didn't care if it was daylight or not. By the way, these lions.
And that's what I like too. And that's petrifying to me. It's so scary to me.
Right.
And then these lions didn't care too if there's 500 people standing around. You're going to get it.
Right.
You're going to get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they see lunch, smorgasbord. Yes. Yeah, here's my old country buffet right here in front of me. Right. So,
and I thought it did have a lot. It did hang on a lot of that more mysterious part, the scariness and the spookiness of it, which I like. But they were still kicking ass on this bridge, and everything was going good. It was moving forward and forward. Until those two lions started to attack,
and they did, and they started picking them off big time. Yeah.
And then the Val Kilmer really, they're trying to figure out, well, how can we kill them? How can we keep everybody? And things start to come unglued at that point.
Right.
The wheels start coming off of the train. No pun intended. But they did.
Right.
They did. It just everything started to fall apart at that point. His confidence. The people's confidence in him,
right?
The workers' confidence in each other and wanting to stay, and then old Jerky McJerkyton shows back up.
Well, that's it. So they have basically, fear starts taking over. I mean, they start getting a lot of defections, and people like, no, it's here, and they say these aren't lions. It's the ghosts in the darkness.
Shaman,
these are
right.
They're basically supernatural creatures because they can't kill them. They can't do anything. Kilmer even puts together this contraption. It's like a big trap in the back of a pickup or like a train car. Train car. Yeah. And he basically puts bars in the middle of it so that the lion would walk in and the door would close behind it, and then there'd be like bars or like wood there's a barrier between the lions and people standing with guns. Yeah. So that they can they can shoot them like shooting fish in a barrel, basically.
Yeah.
So they got the guys with the guns that are behind some bars inside this train thing, and the lion is stuck between a closed door and these bars. and they can't kill him. And the funny thing is, you sit there and look at that scene, you're like, oh, come on. I mean, they're shooting him. Well, I got news for you. That actually did happen.
I believe it.
And there was 10 people in the car, and they couldn't shoot and kill the damn thing, and it did escape. The difference was I don't think it was locals. I think it was actual British people or something that were shooting. But yeah, they had 10 guys in real life. In the real story, they had 10 guys, and they couldn't do it. So as much as that seems like Hollywood, it wasn't
weirdness. Yeah.
It wasn't even exaggerated. They probably stood there and was like, oh man, people ain't gonna believe that. You're like, what?
Wait, what?
Who said that? We're in Hollywood. Who said that? You know. So but no. So then, yes, and they do. Tom Wilkinson's character does mention like an enigmatic like character named Remington. You know, that he could call upon a hunter that you know he could call it to come and help and come take care of things. So eventually, in a really like Hollywood scene, Michael Douglas shows up as Remington, who is the Now, if we're going to talk about Jaws in terms of Jaws here, so Val Kilmer would be your Chief Brody.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So the actor John Connie or whatever, Samuel in the film, he's one of the local guys. Great actor. Yeah. He's in The Lion King. He plays King Chaka in Black Panther and in Captain America Civil War.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So, and he, actually,
he's got a couple funny lines, too, in the movie.
Yeah, he does. And actually, he's even in the Wild Geese, which I like the Wild Geese, the old war movie. Yeah. I didn't know that. He plays Sergeant Jesse Link. Okay. So he plays like the Matt Hooper type of character. Now, these are just characters occupying that space. It's not like the local John Connie is a marine biologist trying to kill a lion. I don't know how that would make sense, but I'm saying I'm not being literal here. I'm saying he occupies that space. Enter Michael Douglas, who occupies the Quint space.
Yes.
Of the story. So you have the trifecta. You have the three guys, and here they are. And so Michael Douglas shows up, acts really cool, all-knowing, all-wise, and basically is smug, like Quint. And he's ready to help poor little Val Kilmer take care of his little lion problem.
Yes.
Right? That's where we're at.
Now, Tim, this is going to sound terrible, but this is where the movie kind of deflates for me a little bit.
Yep. And
I feel bad about saying that because I don't have anything against Michael Douglas. I've seen some movies that he's been in that I don't really like. I've seen him do some awkward acting that I'm like, but I consider him a great actor. I really do.
I do too. I like him. I actually like him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know before going into this movie, I knew there was something. I'm like, there's something that I just don't like about it. I mean, and I think I think I know what it is now. And it's when Michael Douglas shows up. It just kind of, because before then, it's almost like not really supernatural, but you don't see the lions quite as much. It's a little bit spookier. Mm-hmm. It's more, I don't know, the build-up's just great. And then you would think when Douglas shows up, okay, we're going to even amp it up to another level. It just doesn't really, I don't know. I don't know if it's that I don't like his accent that he's trying to use or what he's trying to do, but I just feel like the movie turns into an action film after that, which I don't like near as much as it was the first half of the film. But I don't know. I just like to build up the first part of the film. I like the feel of it, the pace of it. And then once Michael Douglas shows up, I don't know, but and I don't know if that's just me or what.
Sit around my campfire, Mr. Ben Harley. Let me take you on a journey here. And I think we talked about this off air, and I said there's reasons for all this, and I'm gonna let you in on them. And here we go. So sit around the campfire, smoke them if you got them, crack one back, sit back, and so. This movie had a long history, as a lot of Hollywood films do. There's a lot of people attached to things and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, Brian De Palma was set to direct this, and Kevin Costner was set to be the Val Kilmer role.
Oh wow!
They had even asked Anthony Hopkins, and actually of all people, Sean Connery was going to play I think the Remington role or whatever.
I'd
too.
like
so,
to see that.
Yeah, so they had all these different people attached to it and stuff. Unfortunately, Bonfire of the Vanities came out, and Brian De Palma wasn't looked upon as highly as before, and Kevin Costner went on to do The Bodyguard, blah, blah, blah. So, enter Michael Douglas. How do you say? Well, the thing about Michael Douglas is that if you're a Hollywood guy or like kind of a movie nerd like I am, you realize there's things going on behind the scenes and you find those interesting. Michael Douglas was just as much of a producer as he was an actor. Okay. I'm not sure how much people knew that. I don't know. Michael Douglas had One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, wow.
So lots of producing history. So Michael Douglas came on this movie as a producer. He was hired as a producer on this movie. So last second, the producer, Michael Douglas, casts himself as Charles Remington.
Oh, wow.
And top bills himself in the movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So after Sean Connery and Anthony Hopkins decline, Michael Douglas says, well, I guess I better save my movie. Yeah. And here he comes in. So not only that, but so he changed that character. The character was supposed to be more mysterious. Yeah. A smaller part in the film. The character was supposed to be, he's actually based on a big game hunter named Charles Ryall. Who actually was a superintendent of the railway police there. Now, I think he might have been around the periphery of this story. But the purpose of the Remington character in this story, which is probably the most inaccurate historical part of this movie, was put in there as a device, but also to show Val Kilmer's bravery. To show Patterson, it was his character's name, to show Patterson's bravery with these lions. And not even this great legendary African hunter could get these lions. So it was basically like Brody killing the shark after Quint was gone. Sure. Okay. So that was his role. Now, unfortunately, when Michael Douglas got his mitts into it, he expanded that character and gave him backstory and stuff, which wasn't in the original story, what happens? You lose the mystery. Yep. You lose who is this? It's the Michael Myers thing. Don't explain him. Let him come. Yep. Let him do his thing. And this is and also after the film was done, Michael Douglas had the movie recut. And about 45 minutes of screen time was taken away from the movie, therefore expanding, by definition, Michael Douglas's role. Character. So that, my friend, is what happens. And that is why there are plot holes that go nowhere that you don't worry too much about because you're worried about the lions. But when you go back and look at that movie, like, how did it become a lion attacked a guy? And in the next scene, Val Kilmer tells Tom Wilkinson that like 30 or 40 people were killed. You never saw that, right? Right, because there's 45 minutes missing. Wow. And Michael Douglas I don't think he was wrong for the role. I think he's a good actor. I think him walking in, because that's kind of, it should have been a dark version of his Romancing the Stone character. Sure. You know, whereas Romancing the Stone character kind of comes out of nowhere and starts taking Kathleen Turner around, stuff like that. But Michael Douglas, I mean, as actors do, they have ego, and he's a producer on the film. What are you going to do? Right. You know, what are you going to do? So the reason the movie starts falling apart when it should start amping up. There you go. Does it start? Does it on a entertainment and on a business level start revealing itself to you now? Like you see, yeah, totally. I mean, like, because it just. I mean, I don't know. I was always like, there's something because I always think to myself, man, I really like that movie, and then when I get into it, I always come out the other end thinking, well, that sucked at the end. You know, like not really that it sucked, but I'm just. And I think now this is probably like the 4th or 5th time I've seen it now. And I'm like, now I know. I mean, it's just like, as soon as this character shows up, it just turns. And it's not like it's not a fun part or cool part when he shows up because all the mostly the Muslim workers are done. They're leaving. They're about to pummel
Val Kilmer's character, and then Michael Douglas shows up and pulls a gun out and is like, ain't nobody doing nothing, and,
Right.
And you think, well, that's going to be great, man, but it just doesn't seem to go much of anywhere after that. It just, to me, it turns into kind of just a full blown action flick, and then I'm like, there's a part where that doctor gave Val Kilmer his gun, and then it jams, and I'm thinking, did he do that on purpose?
That's part of what's gone. It's gone.
They never tell you.
Thank you.
They never tell you.
Right. So now that's a good point, a good example of what's missing, what's gone, and it's those things, and they start adding up as the movie goes on. Those little bitty things like that start adding up because you don't hate that doctor. That doctor seemed actually fairly impressed with Val Kilmer. Why would he do that? And you start, I guess, in your mind saying, well, is it because he's a coward and he knew his gun didn't work and he was afraid? So he wanted why would he take his gun in particular?
Did he want Val Kilmer to die?
If he's afraid of the lion, let Val Kilmer kill it.
Yeah.
So you don't know. And that it's Michael Douglas's fault. I'm blaming Michael Douglas for everything. Everything. I mean, everything in the world it started right there. It started
all
right
the ills,
there. But when you think about it too, I mean, I think this also is a example of where a 90s movie trope doesn't work anymore because he comes in arrogant. And us looking at this from 2020, we know well enough to know that a great hunter in Africa, a white guy, let's just be frank, in Africa, isn't going to get that reputation by being arrogant to the local Africans. That's not how it works. You become comfortable with them, not arrogant. You become comfortable, and you are confident in your own skin, and you show that confidence and that strength, which is what Val Kilmer's doing.
Yes.
Val Kilmer is not coming in there arrogant. He's coming in there as a leader guy. He's coming in to do that, and Michael Douglas is coming as arrogant, so he blows it for you. Because you see Kilmer doing this, and then you see Michael Douglas.
Kilmer's good in this movie, too. He's really good. To me, it's one of his last real good, before he went cuckoo crazy after doing the Doors movie or whatever.
Well, it's interesting because he came...
Big head.
He came on this movie right off of Moreau, Island of Dr. Moreau, which he...
Tanked. Yeah.
Look, he had justified bad publicity because he was... Look, what happened with that movie was that the director was fired. Richard Stanley was fired. Richard Stanley is a darling for artistic guys and stuff. They think he's a genius, all right? And so they sabotaged the movie because they were mad and they had their butts hurt because Richard Stanley got fired. Well, Richard Stanley was a maniac. He's a nut,
he was
too.
A nut, man.
He is a nut. He's a nut job, all right? His movies are okay. I don't like him like other people do, but I see he can put a good movie together. I get that, but I'm just saying, like, them ruining Moreau didn't help me or you. I wanted to see a decent movie.
Oh, I was so excited about that. I was doing back over flips until I saw it.
Yeah.
And there's only a couple parts. There's a couple parts I really like. I do. I mean, when Val Kilmer's acting like Dr. Moreau, it's hilarious. It's like absolutely, he's off the charts. That's, to me, it's like hilarious and kind of demented. But I really don't. Other than that, I don't really like the rest of them at all. Right. At all.
Well, and I'm going to give Val Kilmer some credit here because, I mean, now look, I've heard he's went through a lot of health issues and personal problems, and I think he's paid his penance for his issues that he's given people. And we're talking about movies here, folks. It's like, I know you make people's lives hard, but we're talking about movies. I mean, it is your job. It is people's job. The crew, they see it as a blue collar job. This is not, I mean, so it's not all glamour and stuff, but it is just a movie. But in fairness now, the director, Stephen Hopkins, did say that Kilmer had a real passion for this movie. He had no time to prepare because he came there right after Moreau. And that he actually had a real passion for the film and worked very hard on it and cared about it. And he said he got along great with them. He thought he was fine. So, maybe you still don't want to be a jerk because you don't like where you're at. Don't do the damn movie. But I know you sign contracts and it happens and the director gets fired and you're mad you're under contract. So you're going to act like a jerk just to try to keep the movie from being released. That's what they were doing.
Yeah. Oh, really?
But you start getting producers losing their money, you don't mean nothing. There's a lot of stars out there we can replace you with, blah, blah, blah. So
big time, yeah.
So in Val Kilmer's defense, he came to this movie with a good attitude, and he was dead tired, and he was going through a divorce on top of the bad publicity he was getting for how he acted on Moreau. So let's give Kilmer a little bit of credit here.
And I like him in this movie.
Well, and I do too. And I'm going to throw this out there too, that he has done a lot of conventions and stuff over the last few years when we were allowed to have conventions. Yeah. And we heard nothing but good things, that he was actually a very nice gentleman these days and everything. And he's definitely humbled himself a lot. And life will humble you, Mr. Ben Harley.
Oh, it will.
As two 50-year-old guys, we can tell you life eventually will humble your ass.
Yeah.
all you squirts listening, it's coming. Yeah. It's coming.
I've been humbled a few times.
Daily at this point, I think. So
yeah.
So anyway, so it's interesting how Val Kilmer was actually fairly well behaved, and it was really Michael Douglas who had a problem. And Stephen Hopkins apparently just said the film was a mess and he hasn't been able to watch it. And I think it's because of what Michael Douglas did. The screenwriters were the same way. They were like, this isn't the movie that we set out to make. It was totally Douglas. It was Michael Douglas, like big time.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, that first half of this movie, before he shows up, is great. And I don't think that he took that much from it. I mean, as far as his acting, I just think, the movie just kind of changed, man. Just like, wow.
The character was played wrong. It wasn't played. It wasn't that he didn't play it well. It was wrongly conceived. I mean, it was Michael Douglas's ego. He was acting like Val Kilmer.
And at that time, he was one of those, I could do no wrong thing,
Right. And they were both a little like that. I think Kilmer was just coming off a bad press, so he's like, I'm just going to do my job here. When's your next wrestling match if you don't do the right thing?
Right.
But when's your next movie if you don't do the right thing? I think
never.
Right. So he came in, but Michael Douglas came in. And I'm not saying he was a maniac. I'm just saying that he threw his weight around. He got his way, and this is what we get. This is what we get. And what's interesting too is that the movie is based off of a book called The Man-Eaters of Tsavo. It's been available for over 100 years. And Patterson wrote it. The real Patterson guy.
Really?
He wrote it. Now in real life he killed the lions.
Oh, did he? Okay.
So whatever Remington character, and then again, it was this railway policeman guy that they kind of based that interjected that into the story. In reality, Patterson pretty much did everything. It wasn't Remington. Yeah. I don't think it was a real person. I mean, there wasn't a Remington. So everybody else in the movie, even if they were portrayed by someone who was much older, younger, they were real people.
Right. Okay.
They did change their roles and stuff, but for the most part, that's what it was. Even to the point where the lions in real life were maneless. They didn't have manes.
Really?
Which happens. Sometimes. And not only that, but like in the real life, he didn't finish the bridge. He had to move it because it was too sandy. Not exactly a good Hollywood moment, where you do that.
Yeah.
And the lions themselves they're on display at the Field Museum of Natural History in Chicago. But really? Unfortunately, what happened was after Remington killed them, he used them as throw rugs. and I think they shrunk over time. So if you go see them there, they're a lot smaller than they actually were in real life. And the lions they used for the movie were the same lions from George of the Jungle.
Were they? That's
from the movie George of the Jungle.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, this movie did win an Oscar for sound editing, which I like.
You know a little bit about.
I like that. I like to hear that. Yeah. So, let's see here. The movie was shot in South Africa, so it wasn't Kenya. Okay. But that was due to like tax laws and things like that.
Sure,
so, I mean, to our dumb American eyes, looks like it's a big place to me. I don't know the difference. We hear, it's a jungle anywhere in the world.
Right.
So every time we hear a kookaburra, man, that's it. It's you're
in a jungle somewhere.
Yeah. So this is the true story of the Man-Eaters of Tsavo.
Yeah.
I guess another interesting tidbit is the first color 3D movie, the iconic picture of the whole crowd. There's an old black and white photo of the whole audience watching a 3D movie, and they all have the glasses on.
Oh,
I know you've seen it. I mean, everybody. I have it framed, hanging up, or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the Buana Devil. Or the Blonde Devils. It's either Blonde Devil or Blonde Devils. Yes, that's also based off of the story.
Yes, okay.
That was the first color 3D film, believe it or not. Wow. I believe it starred Robert Stack. Of all people, yes.
Of all people.
Yeah, so there's a little meandering around
cool,
of info and tidbits of info and stuff about the story and about the movie and stuff. Now, as far
I'm going
as
to look into that story because it's very compelling to me. I thought I love the story. I think it's great, and I'd like to hear more about the real. Because I like at the end too, they showed the actual picture of the bridge that was built, the black and white, picture of the bridge,
which looked a lot like it. Actually,
it did, was exactly. Pretty. I was like, is that?
Well, when you look at the pains they made to make that accurate, you got to think that's why 45 minutes were cut out. There was more accuracies that they and stuff. If you are interested, remember I just said the Man Eaters of Tsavo. Now Tsavo's Tsavo. Tsavo. So the Man Eaters of Tsavo, and apparently it's still
Tsavo means something too, right? Kind of like some
it means like
killing field, or
death and destruction, or something, or the blood of my enemies, or it means something. So, but it's the book, I guess, was actually written by Patterson. So if you want to get the firsthand account, now unless he was a Michael Douglas type, where he's going to make himself into a Zorro-like character, probably. So, it probably is. You're right. So no, look. Here's the thing. I still have a soft spot for this movie. This is like I hate to say this because I know this is where we're at in our lives and stuff, but they don't make them like this anymore. This is a popcorn movie where, yes, there was British colonialists. Yes, there was Africans. Yes, there was Muslims, and there's tension there. But instead of highlighting the tension and the friction, they really highlighted the working together to get something done and stuff. And I kind of it's just the tone and the attitude sometimes that I miss a little bit of that's in this movie. And admittedly, a total popcorn movie. And ironically, had they made the movie a little closer to fact, Michael Douglas wouldn't have torpedoed the movie. I don't think he ruins the movie. I think when he shows up, you're like, all right, here we go. And it doesn't get any better.
No.
And the movie is really good. It's a great setup, but then you're waiting for that extra push. All right, here's Michael Douglas. This is where it all gets better. Why am I not enjoying this more?
Yeah. And then he has them move which is a great idea. He has them move like the hospital and then they take the other old hospital and throw blood and all sorts of innards and things in it. And the lions attack the new one. I'm like, wait a second.
Right.
So you're not that big of you're not that good of a hunter.
Right. Yeah.
That made me mad. I'm like, wait a second.
Right. Or the lions are, I guess they were trying to show the lions were supernatural. They were way smarter than that.
Smarter.
I don't know about that.
I just think they're hungry. Yeah.
Well, they are. I mean, that's the way it is. This kind of, there's these movies about, there's a movie that's been forgotten as well. And I am it's one of these movies I'm dying for it to come out in Blu-ray. So now that I've said it and put it into the ether, I will be sending you a link soon for a coming soon Blu-ray of Savage Harvest. And I don't know if you remember the movie Savage Harvest.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah.
Tom Skerritt in it. It's a family. I believe it's India or Africa, and they have their own place, and the whole house is sieged by lions that are reacting to a famine or a drought.
A drought, okay. So they're hungry and thirsty.
Yes, and so they start doing things that lions normally wouldn't do, like attack houses and stuff like that. And it is also based on some truth and stuff. So
I'm not sure I have seen that, Tim. It sounds familiar, but
it's really good. I do have it. I do have it. I don't have a Blu-ray of it or anything. I'm waiting for a good version of it to be released.
Yeah.
I have like a VHS version of it, and I'm done with VHS. I want to see at least a DVD for God's sake, of this movie, or maybe even streaming anything where I can see it clearly and see it in high def. I'm dying for it. I don't know why it isn't out. They played that sucker. It was one of those PG movies, Ben, that they played on HBO during the day a lot.
Okay,
and it was called Savage Harvest. And I'll never forget it. It kind of remind me of that movie Roar that we reviewed, except it had a story and a plot where Roar was just like, man, throw a scared cameraman with a bunch of lions and Tippi Hedren's family. you got a movie.
You're in.
You got a movie.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
But yeah, so this movie, the problem with is what we're kind of alluding to though, is that it gets good and then doesn't get great.
No.
It's set up to get great. And I know that 45 more minutes would have made the movie almost 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, it'd have been long.
It would have been long, but then again, Goodfellas, I don't want that movie to end, and it's very long.
Exactly.
And
yeah,
I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have been angry at this movie for being 2.5 hours long if it would have given me great instead of just good and just stay there and stay safe or something. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't know. I love a lot of this movie, but then it just goes somewhere where I get bored with it. I just get bored after a while, and I just do. And I don't, I know why now. I do, and I don't feel bad. Is it that you're bored
with it though, or that you're just ready for it to launch and it just keeps you the tension for it to go great. It just never does and ends.
And it never really does. It's not that I get like super bored. I just I don't know. I just, for some reason, before his character shows up, I'm just like so into it. I'm ready for what's going to happen next. And once he comes in, I'm like,
right.
Then I do remember and I like kind of because he's kind of a dick and he does put that doctor in his place a little bit. But yeah, it's just I don't know. You're right. It never really just.
There's a little bit of the old. I think what I was trying to say earlier too. Maybe you're alluding to this, but you can't figure it out, like articulate. Because I really think a lot of it has to do with Michael Douglas is kind of like that awful stereotype from like the old black and white Tarzan movies of the great white hunter. You can go to the doctor and you can tell him what's what, but you can't tell the Africans what's what.
No.
I don't care how comfortable you are in there, and I think it comes off that way. And it comes off insulting to the Africans, but I think more so to us maybe because we're not Africans, but maybe to us it's insulting to our intelligence because we're like, look, dude, you can't walk into their house and start acting like you own the place no matter how long you've been there. That's not how it works on any level. It
sounds stupid too, Tim, but I don't like his long hair either. I don't think it looks right in that time period, Tim. I just don't. I don't think it fit in the movie, Tim. Okay. I don't know. He just, I'm Michael Douglas.
Yeah. Well, what about the movie, though? What about
the movie? I'm going to give the movie a solid grape ape up. Okay. I like the movie. Yeah, I do. A solid grape ape up. Because I do enjoy it. But Michael Douglas, on him. Yeah, poop on him.
I'm gonna do almost the exact same thing. Yeah. Is that I'm gonna give it a solid grape ape. I don't dislike Michael Douglas as much as you. I just think that it was wasted on his ego. Had he not tinkered with the character's arc and the character's role in the movie, had he not maybe the movie needed 15 minutes cut out as opposed to 45. Sure. Had someone else who wasn't on screen been affecting how much he was on screen.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been cobbled together much better. We wouldn't have as many unanswered questions like the gun that didn't work for Val Kilmer and things like that. And I think that when we really look at that, that's an awful plot hole. That's a terrible one, and there's more of them strewn about. They try real hard to cover them up with their editing, but they're still there. So I do agree with you. I think Michael character's role as a producer, I would on. Yeah. As an actor, he's okay. It's just that he's doing the right thing, given the character he decided he was going to play. I just don't like the character a whole lot, and you don't either. Yeah, we just don't like that character. I think it's insulting to our intelligence as much as it's insulting to the Africans, I think. Yeah. It's just, come on now, man. It's like, that's not how it works. Like, we're past the Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan days. This doesn't work, so.
No, it doesn't.
Right. So 2 solid great babes up. I mean, and we just wanted more out of the movie. It could have been a great film. It could have been just a great, maybe not Jaws, but it could have been. No. It ends up more like Congo than Jaws. It's like, what happened? You know? So.
It could have been remembered a lot more,
I
it really could. Yeah. It could be. It could. To me, I think a lot of people forgot about this movie.
Right. Well, when you have the director Stephen Hopkins basically saying this film was a mess. Look, this is the guy who did Lost in Space, the movie that you love so much. I'm joking, of course. You hate that movie.
Yeah, no.
But he also did Judgment Night, which is a good movie. Predator 2 wasn't too bad.
I like Predator 2.
Yeah, I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 he did. I could do without that one maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he could make a movie. And I think he was bummed because I think what he had here was his diamond. And he was right.
Yeah, this was his, big, chance to
Absolutely.
really.
He was right. And it got messed up. And I think he's bitter because he thinks the movie would have been fine if Michael Douglas would have just kept his fingers off of it. So what are you going to do? He's a producer.
Right.
He's a producer. I was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So anyway, okay, so 2 solid Great Babes up.
Yep.
Could have been better, but Michael Douglas, we're watching you.
Yeah, we got you. We got your number.
Yeah, I like you, buddy, but that was a kind of you ruined something that could have been great. But it happens. Yes. It happens. So, all right, well, let's get out of here, Mr. Ben Harley. Animals have run amok, and so have our mouths. So let's get that out of here. Not sure what we are doing next week, but to all the deep thinkers out there, be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll be back here next week, so stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.